I'm grappling with a difficult situation involving my family's expectations and escalating financial disputes within my marriage. What should have been a straightforward inheritance is slipping away, overshadowed by my husband and his mother's relentless focus on wealth within our marriage. Rather than respecting my family's legacy, they've gone as far as to lay claim to my late father's hard-earned fortune, a thought I find unforgivable. Each day, my determination not to give in to their greed only grows stronger. My name is Diana, a 40-year-old woman who has been married for 14 years. My husband, Henry, 42, and I met years ago at the supermarket near the station where he still works and where I once had a part-time job during university. Our lives naturally intertwined, and we married when I was 23. Today, we have a son, Liam, who started university this spring. Despite my commitment to my family and responsibilities, there's an unsettling pattern in my life: Henry's reckless spending. Although he has a right to enjoy our hard-earned money, his demands for more funds and his lack of transparency have only worsened our financial position. Any attempt to discuss finances often leads to conflict, particularly when his parents are present, as they side with him and place further strain on our relationship. Liam, who shares my frustration, often avoids being around when his grandparents visit, sensing the tension in the air. Recently, however, Liam confided in me with a revelation that added to the strain. He caught his father being unfaithful. Heartbroken but supported by Liam, I decided to confront Henry, hoping to address the situation delicately. As I was gathering my thoughts, my husband and his parents made an unexpected appearance in our living room. What began as a casual visit quickly escalated when Henry announced plans for an extravagant trip to Hawaii, nonchalantly asking for $8,000 to fund it. I seized the opportunity to confront Henry, not only about the excessive financial demands but also about his betrayal. The room fell silent as the weight of my accusation set in. When I questioned him about his infidelity, he denied everything, challenging me for proof. I responded by saying he'd been seen with another woman at a hotel, by our own son. Henry tried to dismiss Liam as an unreliable witness, and his mother went as far as to trivialize the affair, suggesting such behavior was typical and not worth confronting. Shocked by her dismissive attitude, I realized the lack of support ran deeper than I had imagined. Despite the emotional confrontation, the conversation shifted back to the Hawaii trip, as if the betrayal were just a side note. Resolving that I could no longer tolerate their endless greed and moral insensitivity, I calmly declared that I intended to divorce. Instantly, Henry threatened to claim my family's mansion as part of the property settlement, escalating the argument. Just then, my cell phone rang, momentarily interrupting the intense moment. It was my uncle with urgent news. My father had collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. Explaining the situation quickly, I left the house and headed to the hospital. When I arrived, I was relieved to find my father in stable condition, though he was still in poor health. At 62, he had spent a lifetime working tirelessly for the family business to provide for us. His sudden health crisis struck a nerve, reminding me of his immense sacrifices. A few days later, he regained consciousness, offering some temporary relief, but a follow-up call from the doctor confirmed that his years of overwork had taken a toll. Heartbreakingly, he passed away soon after, leaving me to grieve deeply as I navigated the aftermath of his loss and the challenges in my own life. Throughout this challenging time, Liam was my unwavering source of support. As an only child, the responsibility of organizing my father's funeral fell entirely on me, and my husband's indifference only made it harder. At the service, my in-laws made a superficial show of sympathy, with a disturbing fixation on the family home, openly admiring its grandeur and speculating about its value. Their visit after the funeral left me grappling with mixed emotions, as their focus was still on material gain rather than my father's memory. My mother-in-law's fascination with the house underscored their insensitivity and deepened the wound of their disrespect for my family's loss. While I was still mourning and putting away my father's things, I received an unexpected call that my in-laws were on their way to our home. Confused and a bit anxious, I braced myself for what I assumed would be another conversation about finances. Determined to confront whatever their intentions might be, I prepared to handle it with resolve. When they arrived, the atmosphere grew tense as my in-laws settled onto the sofa, their expressions unnervingly smug. The situation took a shocking turn when my husband suggested that we sell our family home, proposing that his parents move in with us into a new property. Completely taken aback, I reaffirmed my decision to proceed with our divorce, fueled by the need to protect my father's legacy. Ignoring his infidelity and our pending separation, my husband boldly claimed that my inheritance should be shared as marital property, assuming an entitlement that left me outraged. As if the audacity wasn't enough, his parents began casually discussing their ideal room placements in the new home, intensifying my frustration. I felt a deep resolve to defend my father's legacy against their materialism. The sheer entitlement with which they regarded my father's home and estate had stretched my patience to its breaking point. In the midst of these tumultuous days, I received a call from my uncle. His comforting words provided some much-needed reassurance that I was managing well despite the chaos. However, the conversation took a surprising turn when he mentioned urgent news that couldn't wait. We arranged to meet that night, and as he shared shocking revelations about my husband and his family, I felt both stunned and determined to find a way forward. I confided in my uncle about my in-laws' audacious demands and claims. Outraged by their nerve, he reassured me that he'd help me manage the situation. Curious and hopeful, I met with him the next day, this time bringing along Liam. The plan was to help Liam understand the true nature of his father and grandparents and prepare him for the challenging times ahead. With this new strategy, I called my in-laws over to discuss the idea of all 6 of us moving into my family home. The suggestion caught everyone off guard, but once they realized I was serious, my mother-in-law quickly warmed to the idea, elated at the prospect of living in what she called a dreamlike mansion. However, the excitement quickly soured when my father-in-law raised the issue of their trip cancellation fee, insisting we reimburse them for it. Their self-interest was glaringly obvious, and I was appalled by their shamelessness, but my mother-in-law brushed it aside, reassuring everyone they'd manage the finances soon enough, as though money would magically materialize. Having faced my husband and in-laws' relentless greed for so long, I had almost become desensitized to their antics, but this time, their selfishness struck a deeper chord, making me realize how important it was to protect my father's legacy from their manipulation. Liam, who wasn't used to their brazen behavior, was clearly angered by their entitlement. I patted his shoulder, gently reassuring him that we would handle this together. As we continued discussing the move, I played along, fully aware of their misguided assumptions. My husband, Henry, pressed me with questions about logistics, his tone sharper than usual. I explained that Liam and I would go first to prepare the house, emphasizing that it was a large task requiring time and care. Henry doubted Liam's capacity to manage such responsibilities, especially with his studies. Steering the conversation, I assured him that Liam was fully capable, though Henry seemed unconvinced by even minor details. My mother-in-law, oblivious to the tension, soon became engrossed in discussing the house's grandeur and the number of rooms. I seized the moment, telling them they could choose their rooms first and even proposed a gradual cleaning schedule. As I had a busy work life, my careful responses temporarily appeased them, making them feel like they had won some imagined victory. Meanwhile, I held my true plan close. I would use this time to temper their lofty expectations with a dose of reality. The move was set for a month later, allowing me to strategize and adjust the course of events. As the anticipated day drew near, I felt a mixture of anticipation and determination, ready for the day my husband and in-laws would arrive, believing they were about to step into their new home. On moving day, Liam and I waited by the front entrance, watching as they pulled up, their excitement evident. As the gate swung open, my uncle, my father's brother, stepped out from the house, his presence both calm and commanding. My husband and his parents looked confused. It was clear that Henry barely remembered my uncle from the funeral. The look in their eyes shifted from anticipation to uncertainty, as they slowly realized that the future they envisioned might not be as secure as they'd assumed. My uncle, setting the record straight, firmly asserted his ownership of the house and clarified the inheritance's true distribution. My husband and in-laws' expressions shifted from confident to stunned as they absorbed the full weight of their misguided assumptions. Despite my uncle's clear explanations, my husband attempted to remain composed, acting as if the confrontation were a minor misunderstanding. But the tension took a sharp turn when Liam, unable to hold back any longer, confronted his father about the infidelity. The accusation landed heavily, and my husband's calm facade cracked as he was forced to face the truth. Liam described seeing him enter a hotel with another woman, a suspicion I had harbored, now confirmed. Faced with the truth, my husband adamantly denied everything, unwilling to take responsibility. Liam, hurt by his father's betrayal, urged him to leave our lives for good, but my in-laws were still fixated on financial matters, insisting we discuss a division of assets. Their relentless focus on money, even as our family unraveled emotionally, made their indifference painfully clear. To my astonishment, my in-laws revealed they had given up their apartment and jobs, assuming they would be moving into what they believed to be a lavish, shared family mansion. My shock deepened when they mentioned that both my husband and father-in-law had resigned from their jobs, planning to live off what they assumed would be their share of my father's estate. Their audacity left me speechless. Standing my ground, I firmly asserted my rightful claim to my father's legacy and informed them of my plans to honor his wishes as his only child. My uncle, who was also a lawyer, took charge of the legal side. He disclosed the results of his month-long investigation into my husband's infidelity, presenting undeniable evidence. This revelation left my husband and his parents in stunned silence as they realized the depth of their miscalculations. With my uncle's support, I informed them that any future interactions would go through legal channels and requested that they no longer contact me. Though my husband shot me a resentful look, they eventually left without further protest. I turned to my uncle, deeply grateful for his guidance and support during such a turbulent time. Once the legal proceedings were finalized, Liam and I moved into the family home, honoring my father and grandfather's wishes. Surrounded by memories and legacy, I felt a profound sense of peace and gratitude. Inspired by his uncle's strength and resilience, Liam became dedicated to his studies, setting his sights on a future as a lawyer. Meanwhile, my ex-husband and his parents faced the consequences of their choices, struggling to rebuild their lives in a modest apartment and taking whatever work they could find. Financially strained, my ex-husband eventually reached out for help, but with our ties severed, I declined, reaffirming our estrangement. With the burdens of the past behind me, I focused on my career and looked forward to seeing Liam graduate, proud of how we had risen above the challenges and begun a new, hopeful chapter in our lives.